Hi, welcome everyone. Good morning. This is Samir from MicroCAD. I'm happy that you joined. Uh, I'm so excited to show you today 30 tips for AutoCAD and Civil 3D that might help you. Some of them you probably some of them you know. You might have forgotten them. Some I hope are new, and it's gonna be a fast track webinar today, 30 minutes. It's gonna be I'm gonna try to do it in a rapid fire approach here, as there is no rhyme or reason on the sequence, but I'm gonna show you 30 tips that will help you increase the speed of drafting, customize AutoCAD a little bit for you. Take a look at some of the AutoCAD map functionality that we have in Civil 3D, and we'll take a look at some of the new commands as well that has been introduced in the latest release of Civil 3D 2021. So without much introductions, I'm gonna go jump in right ahead. As we speak, I'm going to be putting in some links for you for additional items that you might want to visit later on. The first one I'm going to put in the chat box for you right now is our YouTube channel, because this webinar is going to be recorded and it's going to be posted on our YouTube channel. So it's very simple, youtube.com/microcad3d. So after the webinar, be sure to go visit the channel for the recording of this webinar. So I'm going to jump in right away into AutoCAD. So in AutoCAD, some of the commands I want to show you in AutoCAD is some of them is customization. So first one is basically when you create a text box, you get to see this one that says usually it's ABC. I changed mine to smile. So how do we change that? Well, it's a system variable. It's called empty jig string, and in there if you can type in ABC is the default. You can type in anything that you like. So I type in hello, and now every time I create a text box, it says hello. So that just sets you apart in the office a little bit. It's a little fun one. When you highlight something, you do a crossing selection, you get a green shadow. That color can be changed using the crossing area color system variable. And they are the index colors that we have. So if I want a pinkish one, I can say 210 is my color. That's an index color. Now every time I go select something, we get a different color. So you can change that. Down on the status bar, we can add additional information that we might find useful. So we can add something called mode macro. And mode macro will let you add additional pieces of information here on the status bar. So if I type in, for example, good morning, you'll see good morning shows up on my status bar. Now this is a static text, but we can really do much with it now using diesel expressions. So if I type in something instead of just a static text using diesel expressions, I can type in I'm going to just copy the code here. My diesel expression. This is going to evaluate a diesel expression that gives me the current layer system variable as well as the current text style system variable that is assigned for me right now. So if I do that, you see layer is 0, that's my current layer. If I change that up top, it changes informational at the bottom. Likewise, the current style, if I change my current style to Roman, it changes down at the bottom. So you get a whole host of system variables that you can read, and you can do calculations with diesel expressions as well. So just like our YouTube link, I'm gonna paste in a diesel expression reference guide that is available online. And if you feel like customizing diesel expressions on your status bar using the mode macro, that would be really helpful. Sometimes you can also put in like the path of the drawing. We typically get the drawing name up top, but if you want to read the whole path, you can put it down at the bottom here and so on. Oftentimes, when we want to change current layers, we have to go up to the menu here, but you can actually type in the layer name. So I have in this drawing a layer called line work. If I want to change it, I can just type in line work, and that will set my current layer to line work. So as I type in the name of the layer, it shows up for me on the command line. So I just click it, and now the current layer has been changed. If I write the current layer is my notes layer, click on that, it changes to the current layer up top. Same deal with the text styles and dimension styles and everything else. My current text style is Roman. If I change that to, for example, annotative, it shows me right away that I have a text style named annotative, and I can click it, and now my current style is annotative. Same deal with dimension styles and multi-leader styles. You can simply put in the style name or the layer name, and that will change. You can also use the insert command also the same way. Like, for example, I have this tree block here. The block name is tree. If I type in tree, on the command line, it says, hey, I have a block named tree. I can click that guy and put it in the drawing right away without using the insert command, without using the new blocks palette. You just simply type in the name of the block. But when you extract something, you usually want to put the extract on a particular layer. So there is a command for extract layer. And if you type in the extract layer, it says use current. So every time you extract a drawing, it goes to the current layer. But if you have a layer named, extract, and you would like to put all the extracts on that particular extract layer, then you can simply type in the name of the layer here, and that will go to the proper layer for the extracts. So extract layer, very handy one. Same idea with the text layer. You can type in text layer, and every time I create a text, it's going to go to a particular layer of my choice, like, for example, for me, notes. So now I go ahead and create the text. It goes to the notes layer right away. All right, so that layer is not my current layer, but it's current for the text. Same deal with the hatch command. If I want to hatch something, HP layer, hatch pattern layer, that will be the current layer for hatch patterns. All right, or dim layer is the one that is available from the ribbon. So that system variable is dim layer, and that would be the layer of the dimensions. So text layer, extract layer, hatch, HP layer, and dim layer. In Civil 3D, there is also the ability to change the order of the layers. So if I have my drawing here open up in Civil 3D, there is a command called layer order. And what layer order is going to do is let you order the layers based on the sequence of what they are in the dialog box here. And the first one wins. So as you can see, my hatch pattern is covering over my lines and trees and stuff like that. So if I put in my hatch all the way at the bottom of the list here, and perhaps bring the blocks up a little bit, bring my line work up perhaps a little bit, bring my notes all the way to the top. All right, bring a text all the way up to the top, and let's see what that will do. Hit OK. And as you can see now, the text is now up front on top of my hatches. The blocks are on layer 0, so that's why I put in that. They're not up top. So if I put layer 0 up top, you'll see that the blocks now are on top of my hatches. So that is really cool. Layer order is the command, and that works in Civil 3D. All right, it's layer order right here. So that way you can always make sure that the hash patterns is at the bottom of the list of the layer orders. All right. You're all familiar probably with the quick calculator in AutoCAD and Civil 3D. There is a calculator palette, and it's really, really good because you don't have to open the Windows calculator. You don't have to bring your calculator or your desk calculator. I also love this unit conversion part of the palette, you can convert between any kind of units from feet to inches, inches to meters, whatever. But notice also there is variables at the bottom here that we have that we can utilize. The calculator has its own command, so we can hit cal and we can do some calculations like 5 plus 5, hit enter, and that gives me the result on the command line 10. So we can use the calculator right from the command line as well, just by using the cal command. But we can also use it transparently. Let's say, for example, I have a line. I'll start the line command, and I would like to draw the line. And yeah, perhaps I have a length in inches, and I want to put it in feet. So I can say transparent. Start the transparent command for calculator by hitting the comma and then cal within the line command, and then now I can say, hey, I would like to have 10 times 12, hit enter, and now that line gets drawn to 10 times 12, whatever that result is. So that's really handy. And that's using the calculator transparently, like the Civil 3D transparent commands, by hitting the comma cal within a command. But utilizing the variables we have, like in the quick calculator, we have a bunch of variables here that we can use and actually create our own. One of them is the radius one. So say, for example, I want to fillet this to the same radius as this one. I have no idea what this radius is. So I'll start the fillet command, and it says radius is 55. Perhaps that's not what I want. I'll hit radius, and then I'll start the calculator command transparently. So I'll do comma cal, and then I'll hit the expression is going to be radius, RAD, because that's the variable I have. Hit enter, and then I simply select the radius of this, the guy, and then go on my merry way here and create that fillet here. I'll do the same thing again. Start the fillet command, radius, start the calculator transparently, comma cal, and then expression is going to be RAD for radius. Hit enter, select my radius for that guy, and then I'm now active in my command. Select this guy, select this guy. All right, I missed a step, so let's do it again. Fillet, radius, cal, and then I'll type in radius for the expression. Select my arc to capture the radius, and then, well, it's not doing it. Oh, this is because this is a polyline. All right, that's not gonna work. All right, fillet one more time. Fillet, radius, cal, radius. Get the radius of the arc, and then finally I can get these two and fillet them that way. The reason it wasn't working because this was a polyline, so I wasn't able to read the radius of a polyline. But that's the idea of a calculator working transparently. Let's say, for example, I want to put in a tree here we know that we can use, like if I want to put a circle, I can say snap override, and I can say mid between 2 points and select my 2 trees, and I get the middle point. But what if I want to put a new tree here 25% of the way? Well, one of the variables that we have from the quick calculator, oh, it's not listed in the variables here, but one of the variables is point by percent. All right, so usually we have the midpoint, that's 50%, that's really easy. But what if we want to change the percentage to maybe perhaps 25% of the way, not the whole loop, but not the midpoint? So we can do that one anyway as well. So I'll do the insert. I say I want to put in a tree, so I'll do insert. Let's do a tree. And I'm going to insert my block tree here, and now it's asking me where do you want. So I'll start my calculator command transparently, and then I can put in an expression, something like PLT. So this is point along a line by percent. There is also one that says point along a line by distance, so PLD as in dog instead. But I'll do the percent one, PLT, and it's going to be from insertion. So this is using the OSMAPs insertion, comma insertion. That will let me click on the other one, and then comma 0.25. All right, so I'll do that kind of thing. So point along, my expression is point along a line via percent, and it's I'm gonna specify that line by insertion of that block, the insertion of that block, and I'll get the 25% way on them. Hit enter, select this guy, and then I can get the insertion of my block at 25% of the way right there. So that's the calculator. There is also a way to select all of these really quickly using fast select. So I can say FS, and anything that is touching this piece of line is going to get selected right away. So all the trees are touching the line gets selected right away. So we can do that really quickly. So transparently as well, I can execute a command that says change block. All right, that's a block. That's the name of the command, change block. All right, I'm typing it wrong. Change block. Oh, that's a Civil 3D command. So let's do it here. Change block. And I'll select the fast mode, or FS select transparently. So I'll do comma FS, and then I'll select my line, and everything that is touching that line gets selected. Now we can also change, at this point I can hit enter, and I want to change it to the 3 block, and all my blocks now have been replaced. So that's another really quick way of changing blocks. But when you right click, there is the AAC modify tools, and I really love this one that says trim, because you don't have to select one that a cutting edge basically. So AAC modify tools, there is a lot of them here. One of my favorites is the trim command. If I want to do that, I can select the line work that I want to trim, and then can draw an imaginary line. And then from the imaginary line, I can select which side I want to keep. So I want to delete this part, and click on over here, and now that gets trimmed. So this is the AAC trim command. There is also the crop command, which is really a handy one as well. So I want you to remember to use these AAC modify tools. They're really powerful. They do work on line work only, so not really alignments and feature lines. One of the really cool things that we can do from a field standpoint, if we change this viewport here, if I change the scale of the viewport, the block that I have prepared for us here changes. So I change the block. Now this is 40%. If I change the guy here to 30, that changes altogether. So how I did this is basically using fields. So it's a simple attribute. By getting the attribute here, okay, that's getting me active inside the viewport. So by hitting the attribute here, I have 3 attributes: the middle point, the end point, and the final scale. So I'm gonna right click and say insert field, and we can insert the field for the object, and I can select object, select my viewport, and then I can get the standard scale here and read it. Okay, so that would be, and that would give me the standard scale. Let's put this at 20%. So that works. So now that's the standard scale, but we can also, what a lot of times we forget is we can put fields inside fields. So instead of objects, I can say formula, and then under the formula here, right click in the formula and say insert field. So that's a field inside a field, and I can go ahead and select the viewport again. And then this time I'll use the custom scale, and I'll make a formula here that gives me the scale number only, and hit OK, and now that's 20, and I can double that number to 40. So the way I did this is inserting a field inside a field, so which is really cool. Sometimes we want to be able to have a master set of notes for the project, and we want to reference those notes in all our sheets. There is a nice, really handy command for referencing text, kind of like XREFs, how we can reference graphics or data shortcuts, we reference data. There is also one that actually references text. So I've prepared the Word document, not a Word document, but a notepad file. Let me browse to it and show you. Resources, general notes. We have simple list of notes here that we may have for the project, and this is a notepad file. And how we can do this is basically reference this text. So let me take note here. This is located right there. That's a text file. And I'll go to the Express Tools, remote text is the command. And right here, we can hit use a different style, but I'll just select a file that I'm gonna reference. So here's my general notes, and I'll put it right here. And that's it. So I'm happy with it. Now, at any point in time, we can update this list for all of our sheets. So if I wanna add another note here, this is just a webinar notes, additional webinar notes. We can save that notepad file, and all what we need to do in the drawing is just the region and the drawing updates. And if you're just opening the drawing, then that will be available to you as well. You don't need to region. Some of the hatch command, a lot of times we forget that there is this one that says hatch tolerance, the gap tolerance, and sometimes we have an issue where we don't have a closed boundary. And here it is, I have an open boundary in my area here. But if I increase the hatch tolerance, I don't get this. So let's say the hatch tolerance is 0.25. So even that I have a gap in here, I can click and says, do you want to continue? Yeah, I want to continue. That's by changing the gap tolerance on my hatch pattern. It's under the options for the hatch ribbon. So that's really cool. All right, sometimes I want to put in a lot line here, and I want to make sure the lot line is perpendicular to the arc. All right, we can do this with parcels, but we can also do it with AutoCAD lines. So it's available under the line command. It's way at the bottom here that says create line perpendicular from point. And there is one that says tangent from point as well. Create line perpendicular to point is one of my favorite ones. So I'm going to select my arc, and then it says select perpendicular point. Let's say, for example, I want to just be perpendicular to that little portion here. Click that guy, and then it's hard to find the perpendicular line at this particular point. But if I do the line perpendicular command, we can just simply select the point along the curve and then create a line perpendicular to it. So that's underneath the line command, all the way at the bottom here, create line perpendicular to point. All right, a lot of questions have come up with what is this display button? All right, so a lot of the display tab on the properties palette seems a little weird because we rarely see anything happening in that tab. So why not close it? So if we don't want to see this tab, we can say change display tab status. So that's the command for it, change display tab status. So, and I can say hide, and that goes away from my properties palette. So a little less to worry about here. But I actually want to show you what it will do. So if I have something like this civil drawing that I have here, perhaps I have parcels that I want to label. All right, so a bunch of parcels. Those are just plain old polyline commands. I didn't even, I don't have any map object data associated with it or anything. But let's say I just want to label all of this with a area label. So I'll go to my task pane here, and this is the AutoCAD map task pane, and I'm gonna add my drawing lines here. So I'm gonna right click, say data, and I'm gonna say add drawing data. I'll say I'm gonna add it by AutoCAD layer. I'll choose my V parcel layer, hit OK, and now I've added the data to my map task pane. And that's pretty easy to do. Notice how there's stuff in the display tab right away. Let's say I want to label all of these AutoCAD polylines. I'll right click on my layer that's in here now and add style. I can hatch it, all right, really quickly and apply a different hatch. I select the hatch. Now I can use a different hatch. And that was a really quick hatch. Probably never hatched that quick in my life before. But let's say I want to put in text. So I'll do right click on the layer, add style, and add a text layer. So now I have the text, and here, right here on the display tab that seems to never be used, I'll say I want to add a value here, and I'll go to my expression. I'll say I want to add the area value. And just like that, we can put in the area. I'll actually put a little bit more context here. I'm going to say area equal, and for height, it's not annotative, so it's going to be pretty big. So I'll do 20, for example. Oh, that's a little too big. Let's do 10. All right. We can change the rotation. We can change the style. Position, rotation. I'll do rotation 0. So that would be all like that. So that's using the display tab. All right, so that's really powerful, and that's using AutoCAD map technology. All right. Let's say I have the Civil 3D drawing here, and I want to real quickly figure out the volume of this pond. All right, so we can really quickly go to the Analyze tab under Design and Staged Storage. That will give us the volume of the pond. I'm going to define the basin using the entity. So define basin, use the surface contours, select define, select my surface, and here is all the contours that are currently shown in my surface type. And just like that, I can say create report. I'll also insert this. So when I insert it, that gives me the AutoCAD table for the elevation increment based on the surface style and the area and the volume for each layer. So that will give me the volume of the surface really quickly. All right, the table is not linked, so that it's not going to be updated, but it's easy enough to recreate. All right, let's say I have this object here, and we may have some specifications regarding the sketch basin. So we can go to the extended data tab, and we can add reference documents. So I may have reference document here, and I have the specifications in a PDF format. So I'll add my sketch basin spec sheet. Hit OK. Now we have a PDF associated, or perhaps an image associated with this object. Anyone at any point in time can just go to the extended data tab, double click the link, and now we have the spec sheet for this particular sketch basin. We can also add attributes under the extended data. You see how I added the quality level, and I have it in a drop-down menu. Let's say, for example, I want to have a sketch basin type. So I can go to the Manage tab and say Define Property Sets, and that will give me the property sets, the attributes that I can associate with any object. So under Property Sets here, I'll right-click and say New. I'm going to say Structure Type. It's going to be the name of the property set. And that's the name. It's going to apply to Civil 3D structures. So I'm going to go find Civil 3D structures. Where is it? Right there. And the definition for it is just going to be a type. So I'm going to type in type, hit OK, and hit OK. Now, when I select the sketch basin, I have the ability to put in the type of the structure. So CB type B, for example, and now I have a type associated with this. Now you can use it to label, just like how I labeled the SU value for my pipes. So the Civil 3D pipe, the Civil 3D labels will be able to take care of the extended attributes that you might have here. All right, let's say at this point I want to share my Civil 3D surface with the Revit guys. So people who are designing this building for me, they want to know where that building lies in life. So we can really easily go to the output tab and say publish surface. So I'll publish the surface to BIM 360. And the BIM 360 will take care of the object translation into the Revit model. And we can simply have a live link from Civil 3D to Revit where the structure is going to be designed, but it's necessary to give the structural engineer and the architect our topography so that we can have a well-coordinated team. So I'm just going to publish this corridor surface here that contains the elevation for the building pad, and I browse to my BIM 360 project under my hub and project I've created, and I have a shared folder there under my project. I'm gonna publish it to BIM 360 environment, and now I can simply very easily go to the Revit, all right, and just link it. And if the civil engineer at any point in time republishes the surface, the Revit model is going to auto-update automatically. We don't need to worry about it, or we can also reload it manually if we're working in the model. But just like that, we can have a live link from Civil 3D to Revit using BIM 360. So here is the model coming into Revit, same one designed, and it's just 2 clicks of a button that I've done to publish it in Civil 3D and link it in Revit. So the model is live model, we can annotate it and everything. Final thing I want to show you is our MicroCAD tools. So MicroCAD tools, when you install it, it's going to put the ribbon tab for you, and we have a whole host of additional commands that you can use in Civil 3D to make your workflow a lot more efficient and faster. One of the ones I love, absolutely love, being that I did a lot of stormwater design, is the pipe editor. So as you can see here, I have a pipe network designed, and if I at any point in time decide to change the slopes of this, you know that you have to go through one by one and change it. But we have our pipe editor command, which is awesome. You select the upstream structure, select the downstream structure, and it gives you the dialog box to fix the slopes, fix the inverts, everything in one go. So I'm going to say I'm going to lock the upstream right now. It's locked with the lock command. It's unlocked at the downstream. And I can say, hey, I want a consistent slope of 0.5 for the whole thing. And it's going down, so I'll put in negative. Perhaps I want to assign a drop to, so I can say I want a 0.25 drop for at each structure, hit apply and close, and just like that, the slopes have been updated, all right, in one click. So very easy. If I decide to change my mind, I can activate this command again from here to there. I'm gonna give it, let's say, keep it even. I'll start with 190 and I'll go at a negative 1.25 slope. Perhaps I want to change the drop to 0.1, hit apply, close, and you see the labels update automatically. The inverts over here is now 190, and everything have been updated really quickly. So I want to share with you a MicroCAD YouTube video that I've created for an extended view of our MicroCAD tools. All right, so I put it in the chat box for your information. And so I hope that was beneficial. There was a lot of information that I covered in a really, really short amount of time. I went 5 minutes over, so I apologize about that. But hopefully that was helpful as an eye-opener. There's a lot of tools in Civil 3D and AutoCAD to kind of change a bit of how we work with things really quickly. So thank you again for watching, and thanks for your time. And I'll see you next time. Have a good afternoon.